There we go. There we go. I was about to say with the yeah. Okay. All right. 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 So. Let me get this mic set up. This shit is stupid. Alright. So, human relations, like, today's topic is gonna be about, interactions, like, nowadays, people in general are so, like, I don't know how to put it. People are so standoffish and less open, and I want to talk about that a little bit because it's hard to meet people these days. Like, I don't think I introduced myself before I jumped into the topic. Hey guys, what's up? Whoever watches this or listens to this in the near future, if this is public. I don't think I made it public. I think it's private right now. Not 100% sure, but whatever. Whoever just so happens to come across this channel later, like, this is gonna be primarily focused as a radio channel, like a virtual radio channel. Not a podcast. I don't want to say like a podcast. I want to say it's like a virtual radio station channel on YouTube. That's how I want to run it. That's how I want to brand it, as a radio station. So, and I'm gonna be talking about like just random topics like music, video game culture, politics, just all sorts of things are going to be talked about on this station. And so it's not going to be like a single topic focus oriented channel. It's gonna be some of everything. I want this to be, I don't know, a very diverse sort of platform for me. Like, that's how I want to run it. That's how I want to do things over here. Just for me, this is also going to be like a confidence builder sort of thing. So I'm running it as a Faceless virtual radio station on YouTube. But it's also going to be used for me personally, like to sort of build confidence that eventually I'll move on to in actual, like, I guess I'll start making actual video oriented content, like, that's not Faceless. But for now, I'm gonna start out as a Faceless channel. Okay, so human relations right now are in the gutter. Like, I don't know about everybody else. I can't speak for anybody else. I can speak for like my local area in my state or whatever. The state that I live in, Virginia, and like I don't know, people are. I guess people are friendly. I guess you could say they're friendly, but people don't really interact with one another much outside of business and transactional stuff, like just business and transactions, services and stuff like that. Like people don't interact with one another much, and it's just hard to remember faces. Like if you're not like frequent in at a particular business or store or whatever, like you don't really remember the faces of these strangers you meet. I mean, not just you're supposed to. These people are irrelevant. You're probably never gonna see them again in your life, but you never know. So it's the point I'm trying to get at is how are people supposed to meet one another these days? Like you can't. It's really hard to meet new people these days outside of your own social bubble or whatever, and especially remembering names and faces and stuff like that when it is intentional, when you are intentionally trying to meet somebody and you're trying to remember this person, you're trying to remember this person's name and the things that their interests and just basic social interactions and stuff like that. So I use AI, artificial intelligence, to like try to put together some techniques that people can use to like I don't know, I guess better memorize people that you just met like maybe once or twice. People that you would like to get to know better. Like generally speaking, people only remember, just like to me from my personal experience, people only remember people that they're like somewhat attracted to or interested in, like personality wise or whatever. People typically don't tend to remember people that they're either not physically attracted to or interested in, like for relationships or hookups or just their character, their personality or whatever. Like I mean, there are people out here that like are interested in like further pursuing pursuing other people based off their personality and their characteristics, and just wanting to hang out with more with that person later. But sometimes you don't really remember that person's name. Their name starts to elude you, and you remember their face because they left an impression on you. And that's another thing. Impressions are important. Like people remember you from your last impression that you left on them. So what I'm trying to say here is leave an impression. Like leave an impression. That's tip number one. Leave a good impression, and people will remember you for that thing, like for a very long time. Even if they don't flat out remember your name, they'll remember your face when they see you because they remember the last impression you left on them. So this could be a extremely negative impression or an extremely positive impression. People will remember you if you leave an extremely negative impression on them. extremely positive impression. Like for me, I left an extremely positive impression on a group of people a couple of years ago, and they still remember me till this day for those positive impressions, the positive impressions that I left on them. But they don't necessarily outright remember my name. Like if I reintroduce myself, like they'll remember me because they remember my face. But they don't really remember my name. Like people don't hold on to names, the names of other people that aren't constantly around them. There's that. Like I think that's a part of the reason why people don't really remember strangers all that much, that they maybe have met once or twice, and from an interaction, somebody introducing somebody else that they know, some third party person that they know, to try to, I guess, their friends that click with you or whatever like that. You don't really remember these people unless you meet them a few times. But you can try to use some strategies like trying to remember information or little details like that people mentioned about this other individual that that was introduced to you. I guess. Like what kind of movies this person is interested in, or hobbies. Like if this person went skydiving last week, or bungee jumping, or some crap like that. Like, and that's how you can use that as a way to remember a conversation, to recall a conversation you had about a particular individual. At that point in time. But that's not all. Like that's a recall method, because certain things you can link certain things to certain interactions and conversations that you had in the past about a certain individual. If something very particular that they said maybe a few times during the conversation stuck with you, like I said, this person likes bungee jumping or whatever. If they mentioned that like 3 or 4 times throughout the conversation, then that's what you're gonna remember that person by. That's your way to remember that particular conversation, that particular individual. And that's an effective skill for that. But the important thing is to link that person's name to that conversation, and that's how you remember that interaction. But people don't really care for people that they typically just met. I know I don't. I don't really hold on to. A mental image of somebody that I literally just met for too long. So that's why this is very, very useful. These skills, these techniques that I'm gonna be talking about. So remembering somebody's name shows that you value them, and you value the conversation that you those conversations that you have with them. And it's extremely important, because when people know that you're attentive and that you care about the conversation, you care about the interaction, then that tells them that you're being genuine. Um, and they may want to pursue further communication with you. Maybe this person may want to get your Instagram or your Facebook. I don't know what people are using these days. Really, I don't use social media much anymore nowadays. Like I have social media, but I don't really use social media. If that makes sense. Like I have them. I have social media accounts, but I don't really utilize social media. Like, but um, use names in conversations. Okay, refer to people by their names when you greet and interact with them. This practice not only strengthens your memory, but also signals that to the other person that you haven't forgotten who they are. So I like I like this idea a lot because it's I wish people would use this when with me because people don't. I don't know. People have a hard time remembering me. Like my personality doesn't really stand out a whole lot. I guess in interactions and stuff like that. Like I'm not really talkative person. Like in person. Like with new people, with strangers. Like with my family members, talkative a lot. Like I engage in conversation a lot with my family members, my immediate family, but with like random people, like no, I don't have long drawn out conversations, in depth conversations with random strangers. I can't because it's like I don't know you from a grain of salt, and you step on the wrong button, you push the wrong buttons. People are very hyper political nowadays, so it's like you dress somebody in the wrong way, it's like a landmine, and I'm already like neurodivergent, so it's like I had to learn how to talk to people, like how to just be around people in general. From a very young age, it was really hard to like really have those interactions, have those social interactions, because I wasn't a social person like in the past. Like I wasn't a very social person. Like I can when I think back to my childhood, I was very introverted. Like growing up, like through the majority of my life, I was very introverted, more into playing video games, watching Japanese anime, and drawing, and just doing like homebody stuff, like more homebody stuff, more antisocial stuff with minimal social interactions and stuff like that. Like I don't know, people to me, like I had a hard time dealing with people, like because I didn't like that how the interactions went, like because I didn't know how to interact with people. So there would be some moments where I would say how I felt, like I would just call it how it was, because that's the part of my uh that's the part of my personal my disability. Like I don't really have a filter. Like I don't really think about other people's emotions. Don't take other people's emotions into account. It's just something that happens naturally for me. Like it's something that I just do without thinking. Like it's not deliberate. It's not on purpose. It's just a part of who I am. Like I don't even understand my own emotions sometimes. Sometimes I don't even feel like I even I don't know. Sometimes it's it's really hard for me to understand my own emotions, like, because sometimes I feel like I don't know how I feel sometimes. Like that's just how I've been my whole life. Like I don't really even understand myself because a lot of times I don't get angry at people. A lot of times I don't really feel much of anything. I'm very tend to be hyper analytical. Like I've always been like that. I tend to be hyper analytical my whole life. Um, and so that how that translated in interactions, like in how that translated in my interactions with people, it was how should I put it is I come off as a very odd person. Like back then, like now is normal. Like now, people like me are normalized, and we get there's way more support for neurodivergent people than it was back then. Uh, and so that's a good thing. I like that. Like how we're no longer looked at like these oddballs, like these people that don't fit in or whatever. Like I like that there's a space for us now. Like people aren't judging us and stuff like that. I think that's a good thing. Um, but another thing you can do is to remember information that others share with you when you first meet. Recalling and referring to this information in future interactions demonstrate that you are genuinely listening to the other person. So, like, this is probably I think I already mentioned that earlier, but that's one of the second keys to like remembering an individual, like remembering information that they share with you, like their hobbies or whatever. Yeah, I already mentioned that. I don't know why I want to go further down. Okay, okay, okay. Understanding relationships. Okay. Lastly, relationships are essential. Pay attention um, to how your actions and words affect others. Okay. So, yeah, your actions and words affect others. Um, by the things that you say. There's power in the things that you say. Like I just like I was how like what I was um talking about earlier. A little bit what I was talking about earlier is that uh there are social landmines that you can step on when interacting with another person. This is very very difficult nowadays to like have genuine interactions with another person, because you never know, like you never know like who how somebody's gonna respond to what you say. Like not everybody has the same upbringing and background. Not everybody grew up the same way you grew up with the same type of culture that you personally developed. Like there's culture, and there's a generalized sense of culture in amongst certain groups and communities, and then certain people from different countries and different religious backgrounds, spiritualistic backgrounds, and then there's culture, there's personal culture, and what personal culture is, it's not linked to anything that's that we generally know nowadays about different cultures and stuff like that. Personal culture is something that you develop in your household amongst your family members, your immediate family, and there's personal culture is a combination of like ethnic culture, spiritualistic religious culture, and traditional passed down culture, and also how you personally, like how you as a person, how your personality and your family's personalities, like your relatives' personalities, meld into your own like cultural identity, and it creates this new interpersonal culture that you carry with you, not necessarily connected to any other culture. It's a personal cultural identity that is cultivated through the long-term interactions with your relatives. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain. Hold up. Maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Okay. What is this about? YouTube not saying under maintains the viewers and buffering. Stream status is poor. I don't understand. Okay. Alright. No, it's I don't get it. YouTube's acting up right now. Saying my stream status is poor. Okay. One, recordings cannot be paused if the recording quality is set to the same as stream. Okay. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. I had good connection a while ago, and now now it's giving me an error. It's saying that I'm not maintaining enough smooth streaming. They're buffering. The stream's current bit rate 2470 kbs is higher than the recommended bit rate. We recommend that you use the stream bit rate of 1000 kbs. Okay, how do I switch that? How do I change that? Alright, let's change the bit rate. Come on, settings, change the bit rate. The bits. Bit rate. There it is. I see it. Okay. Now let me just lower this. There we go. Okay. Apply. Okay. I think I fixed it. it should be fine now. Like, all right. And so, like I was saying, what was I saying? Right. Words and your words and actions affect other people. Like, it's hard to speak to somebody nowadays. You know, just a random stranger, like, or getting to know somebody new. Like, even if you're introduced through somebody, because you gotta immediately like gauge that other person and figure out what their triggers are before you can just be casual, like, and have a casual conversation, you know, with that person about things, because you can't just talk about anything. You can't just say anything, because that person might think that you're trying to offend them, whatever like that. And it's this climate where of political correctness and what have you, and but you I don't know. I don't know how to deal with people nowadays, bro. So I just stick to myself. Like, I really don't. So I'm trying to find a way to, cause I want to actually get out of this rut. Like, I'm really tired of I mean, I could go my whole life without having any friends, or a personal circle. Like, I really don't care. Like, that's just who I am as a, like I said, it goes back to my it goes back to the fact that I'm neurodivergent, and like I can literally go my whole life with just, you know, entertain myself with other things. Like, is everything else fascinates me, like technology, the mysteries of spirituality, because people get offended over, you know, spirituality, you know, or anything that has anything to do with spirituality, and they call spirituality religion, and that's a false label, because the term religion was invented as a way to, like, I guess, try to diminish or debunk or get people to move away from spiritualistic beliefs and stuff like that. But there are a bunch of things, like, as far as human origin, and you know, the mysteries of the world, and the beginnings of humanity and human consciousness, and all sorts of things are tied into spirituality in these different groups, these different faiths, and stuff like that, and their doctrines and stuff like that. Like, and culture is also tied to spirituality, and the origins of culture, like the different cultures from different people groups and stuff like that. That stuff's tied. That stuff is tied to spirituality, which people call religion. Again, I don't like that term, because religion sounds like something's a cult, and spirituality is not a cult. Like, even though people like to try to label it as that, some people try to label it as a cult, but it's really not. Like, those are more the naysayers, the atheists, and the naysayers, and the you know, the people who fall into other certain groups that I can't mention. You know, those people, the protected groups, that, you know, current establishment, current administrations want to select as their new victim class. But those people are the ones that are labeling spirituality as sort of a cult, or trying to attach. Traditionally, they have attached the term religion to spirituality to try to debunk it in all kind of things and say that it's all made up, it's all fairy tales, and well, even fairy tales and myths come from some type of truth. Which I want you to let that sink in for a second. Myths come from somewhere. People make up myths. You know where myths come from? Myths come from some iteration of truth, and then people exaggerate those truths to make those truths out to be more, I guess, interesting. They make the stories from those truths to be more interesting by exaggerating those said truths, and that's how myths are born. That's how fairy tales are born. It doesn't come from some fake made up thing. People would pour so much time and energy into maintaining something meaning writing something as extensive as like the biblical lexicon. Like it's so extensive. Like if we're just talking about like the Bible, like it's so extensive. Like the biblical lexicon is so extensive. Who pours that much time and that puts that much effort into something that's fictional, something that has no merit? Like it was just made up to watch people. Like who does that? No one wastes that much time on something that was completely meaningless, that was completely made up, and doesn't have any type of validity at all. And that's just talking about the Bible. Okay, we move on to other things. We move on to the other like different practices from other groups. It's the same thing. Like who? Why would you put so much effort into something that's essentially a bunch of bull? Like it's a bunch of gibberish. Why would anybody put their whole entire life force? Because people put their whole entire life force, their life energy, into these different practices, these different spiritualistic practices, and these different cultures and groups and everything like that. Like if all of it was just a bunch of hoopla, then why put so much detail into it? Why put such extensive? Because literature is very. Somebody has to sit down and write that. Okay, somebody has to sit down and write that stuff. And when it comes to things like that, it's really history. Like it's really kinds of history. Some of this stuff in these different spiritualistic groups, are records of origins of history, of human history and consciousness and the beginnings of the world and stuff like that is recorded in these different, or you normies that like to use the term, is recorded in religious texts. Like and you can find like conclusions that scientists come to. Okay, you can find a lot of these conclusions that scientists come to, and with the origins of human life and the origins of the mind or the spirit or human consciousness or whatever. You can find like links to these sort of conversations and topics in like religious texts, and you can find the origins, like how scientists like to talk about the origins of humanity. You can find such things also in religious texts. Like science validates religion more than it debunks it. Like it validates it more than it. Science is taking a stance of, to me, science is taking a stance of trying to tear down, not to dismiss or to debunk, like anything non-scientific, anything outside of the realm of science, anything that's linked to spirituality or religion. Like science typically tends to try to explain things in a way where you don't necessarily need spirituality, and That's the that's the way science, dark science, like to say, like to try to explain the origins of humanity, um, outside of spiritualistic context. And oftentimes, what happens is they end up at the similarity, which is ultimately they end up circling right back around to religion. Like when you get down to the nitty gritty, when they get to the depths in the depths of the point that they're trying to make, like when it comes to human origins, consciousness, in the beginnings of the world and whatnot, like it ultimately ends up going back to religion. Like you can look into this yourself, you can research this yourself, and the conclusions that they often come to often connects back to some form of spirituality or some sort of spiritualistic beginning, or some sort of frequency, or particle or whatever, and this further proves the validity of spirituality, like because it ultimately goes back to that. It ends up going back to that, and they end up having to talk about it indirectly. They talk about it indirectly. They don't link it directly, but they end up saying things that are in relation to some form of spirituality without saying it's spirituality, without saying spirituality. And I got off topic because I was talking about human interactions, but that's a major part of human connections and getting to know another person is that what is that person stand? Ultimately, what is that person stand, like politically, socially, spiritually? Like these are things that are important to when it comes to getting to know somebody. Not obviously not when you're just meeting somebody for the first time. It's a stranger for the first time. You're not gonna dump all this on them, but you gotta let them talk about themselves. In the beginning, you wanna let them talk about themselves. You first meet this person, and you have these first few interactions with these strangers that can potentially turn into something else, further relationship, friendship, or more intimate relationship, something else. You want to let these people talk about themselves. You want to introduce yourself, you want to introduce some things about yourself. Small stuff. You don't want to come off and to push you. You don't want to come off as though you're trying to push your, everything about you. You don't want to make no conversation about you every time you have an interaction with this other person that you're just meeting for the first time, or the first few times you're in the know this person. You don't want to come off as, oh, you're just a narcissistic person, you're just about yourself. So what you want to do is you want to let that person talk about themselves, and you interject something about yourself. Something small. Say, oh yeah, that's interesting. I also had this is how you X, Y, and Z, like, I mean, it's something similar as anything you're in some point, just throw stuff out there. So it has to be relevant to the conversation. The problem is the problem isn't so much as how to interact, how to hold the conversation. Somebody problem is more of getting to the point to where you can have a conversation with somebody enough to form interest. For that person to form interest with you, to want to have future conversations and meetings with you. And so, understanding human relation skills they are very difficult thing to do. It's like there are many things you can do to try and, I guess, get people to remember you, because it's hard to get people to remember you. Like, you really have to stand out. You gotta have a big personality, or you have to be an interesting person. You have interesting hobbies, or you have to love to talk. Be a very talkative person, have an extrovert personality, and stuff like that. I'm not a very extroverted personality type, so I'm not very talkative. I'm a man of words, but normally I don't talk to people much. That's not my thing. Like, I know what I was talking about, but this can't really don't. I'm like nice weather today. Like that's me. That's me. I'm that. I go with flow. Whatever I can use, whatever around at that moment that I use as a conversation piece. That's why I use it as a conversation piece. I will not use things that like I personally align with as a conversation piece with a stranger. I just do that. Because like I said earlier, you don't know what people say nowadays. You really don't. That person might identify as a daggone airplane. You don't know. I don't want to use, and at the same time, I don't want to talk about things that I can clearly see that are not. Like, if I can clearly see that you got some big old titties, and you in your face you look like a female, look like, then that's what I'm calling you. That's what I'm identify you as. Like, and some people get offended over that, but I'm just call it how I see it at first, and then you know, I don't really have the same meeting with people when you for the first time, like for the first time. Like, rarely do I ever see this in a fashion that in like school or work or something that nature, or that person knows like if someone that's related to me knows that person personally and interact with that person personally on a daily basis, then maybe I'll have more than one interaction with that person. But I know that it has another person for me to have multiple interactions with that person. Like, otherwise I'm never going to see that person again. Like, you're just never going to have another interaction with that person. And so if you, it's like a few days ago, I was coming, I think it was about a week ago almost ago. I was coming from school and college, and I ran into this person at the bus stop, and I didn't know what the heck it was. Like, it, you know, it was giving me mixed signals. Like, what are you? Like, like it was shaped like a woman, but clear was a woman. It was shaped like a woman, but it had the face of a dude. Like, and it was trying to put on a female's voice. But at the same time, energy, because that's the thing. That I think that people don't really realize when they go around. I identify as this, that, and the third, or whatever. Is that okay? You can do that if you want, but and you got better in the world. Okay, you go $1 billion, and you can get to a point where you are actually passing the thing that you identify as. Like, other people see that they see you, and you not having more than that, but surgery is so good. The money you spend on surgery got you such a good high quality that you do look like the things that you are identifying as. But your energy. There's energy in certain pheromones that men only all give off different pheromones. Like, men give off certain pheromones, and women give off certain pheromones that men off. And sometimes you get rid of that. Like, I really got some hormone or stuff like that. So maybe you have to get rid of that. The pheromone thing, like, I don't know. But your energy, you can't handle it. You can lie to the other person. Falsely present yourself as something that you really was not that in this world as. But you know your spirit. That's a very important thing. The only such thing is a lot of people only consider nothing as a soul or a god or anything outside of that. All that's just religious and nah. Spirit is not the spirit who's body. Yes, the mind and the organs and your organs, mind, your heart, and all that other stuff is rolling like that. How your body functions. Your body functions by your organs and your heart, your brain, your nerves, like that. But when you speak in spirit, it's not really a thought process. You speak like for me. Myself, like, when you speak words, you use words from not just be words from from your spirit. It's these words through your vessel. In power of the way that is in the tongue. You can say that and cause somebody to have something over that day. And you say that you get them to meant to go in the first position and get out, like, by the delete those, okay? Sir. Because you set something that's no catch. So the power of that is through the tongue through the spirit. You're a little confident. You're a confident. And you know, if you're scared like scared about the lie and speak, I know I'm really specific, really religious. You don't like that. And someone get this like this channel, this person, but the point is written. The point I'm trying to get is that person that I feel in. I think I look at myself as this person is you know. At that point, I feel that person's for. I didn't know this here, and they didn't know what it was. That person didn't know who they were. I couldn't give them like when I was just next to that person. I glanced at them a couple of times, and at that point I stopped looking in their direction, but even just getting that person, I was getting like this feel that this person was away from themselves. They did not know who they were. Like, they had identified as never I was identified, but the energy from them was the energy of I don't fit to the male or female spectrum. I don't fit to the end of the spectrum of masculinity. A man realized the femininity only. Then plus your male didn't know this person know what they were or who they were. Like, truth, you can deal with certain people, and if you're around something, you can't stop this. Don't go and people get themselves. But I can't still that name. Like, sometimes I can't. Sometimes I don't feel anything. Like, it's like, you know, the thing like, I don't control. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, you say, I'm actually, you know, I'm actually, I know, is actually the thing I read all the time. No, I'm not saying this. So when it happens, and it's starting out to us with, they feel, I think, and you go off. Person that was at a man or a woman. Okay, it was with Clinton, it was a freaking prince person, whatever you want to call it. But the energy very much that was lost. So when I lost, I mean, people like that, they're gonna say, oh, you did lost, or I did this, or like, one song, next, you know, or anything like that. Like, I'm not saying that everyone knows something like that. I'm not saying what I mean. Someone didn't sound to say, and it's how it's meant to be. Okay, what I'm trying to say to you is, when it's all you know, they say, oh, okay, that person is 50, do not know who they are. You can't say, oh, I don't see that person, you can't say, oh, I am. I'm just trying to say that person, you can't say that, but your spirit telling itself. Your spirit telling itself, and that spirit is saying that it knows knew it, but they don't know who they are. Like, on a spiritual level, internally, now you're 84. I was getting neither like male or female. Like, if you say at that point in my body, I got that all the time. So you end up getting non-binary feel from the spirit. So that's it. Like, that's when I know a female. That's just everything. And the thing is, this very much, and everything, not just say, I think, but people in general, like, you can, identify as whatever they want. You know, your spirit will tell me something, I can sometimes feel somebody just like you, and I think it's like certain people, like, some people, they feel like they hostile, or something, yeah, not looking, but like, they're just kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm honestly particular you, like, and then some people are deceived, like, some people feel themselves like a 7 years from themselves, and some people are on the edge, and some people are on the edge, just very uncertain about getting limits, yeah, you know, I know in the overall, the prior, the time I was getting, you know, or whatever, and it's just to go, I was able to have a little bit of and the, I was saying, it's hard, because my homie I don't think was felt like, I mean, not be funny anything, but you think like, he could have done that for pricing, but I always hard, you know, like, it went in, I'm sorry, I didn't or anything like that, but you think you don't remember, like, I don't know, after that day, I don't know, you go right now, but after this, but, you think very, uncertain, unsafe, like, it was, I don't know, he's 22 months away from his birth, like, down in the court, and whatever, and he could have been that, he was uncertain about late in, I was like, dog, taking my food, sorry, I really like most right now. I think I'm literally I'm already not from where I could. It's being in problem. I don't know because that's how where that he was at the issues. But now, still, I mean, like you, and you know, like you do something because something you still like. I think that person, you know, and something not right. Now I get somebody walking around all the time, right? Like go where you somewhere here, and you got people that you don't want to really be bothered because how about it? Like I don't know, it's not you get a hot wave already on it. People get really weird. Part of first relationship with other people is change. You know, you can get out guys, person, you know, people like you know person and anything like that. But again, that's the thing that gets off. Because people like who they think who they perceive or people come on now, that goes further like because the personality never sees you try to you find oh I'm this and I'm not this and I'm still less attractive and I mean who they but the person when around you like if you see a certain way like I'm saying like some people just very judgmental other things not other people with that on the progressives or something like that. And I like the thing they just what I like this thing degrees that didn't ask you to disease so we tell me anything but you know but I just I don't use that person this person because it's not really because I have to look at myself I can't do it like I have to let anybody get okay it's that I don't want to do it I guess you did my versus and some people they you can't do anything you're being backbacks no they actually you know it's really physically and no like you go the whole night and is it this 100% actually backed by multiple choice and these individuals will go and you say no it's not true and you get like it's single device it's not true you know what I mean it's not okay okay so this is that bad ego you know using college you know back in college and like you know it happened when you know people are getting the way I don't know yeah I have those people that I messages and like I'll get like you know I hear how many what do you got I know that I'm research and I'm naturally get like when it just go up is big up in person like and it's also part of I'm saying and it's also in my ability but it like when I have somebody like somebody who think that they are people that say oh yes I'm sorry you whatever like do that shit because you're about like decision that decision is political and it's saying that it's certain you know no point about it people defensive they for $100,000 that is government or they people you're really doing that to but it's actually that oh yeah I know I don't know because it's never like this is part one that are happening to is I didn't mention the issues that these generations of the information the speech studies that they speak to image that the source of research and stuff like that and soon as the word that is mentioned in the years of different men that's going to college different places everybody the education like I usually people test like exams and like different other things and they gave me how they use those all these things they go college and they go to and those and they reteach what students ask what they how they answer and how they answer and they collect books they you're going to have to figure out ways to and what they of having in the method of business administration for something on the long step definition and notice how you know what's this way and that is the issue that you know but we have information but all these things it's a these communication teachings and ideas and stuff like that people in the theory itself and it's not those aren't the people who actually know and this issue can't use like you know or it's not the place we got you know like more data I believe that we fast human you know and the infidelity and better and vision and humans have that recording stuff and people who you know because our populations obviously have it's a bit all things but yeah, the original I think the for information so you may have to think you know the original I'm trying to really come to think you from
Yeah, this was a new do it for the rock. Very important to go into the search for the constitutions. You know, sometimes search for it on the internet, so read the dump and you get just you guys are you know, they make you search other things like when people go in and search when you have this or whatever. It make you go in there and what wants to do information on that. You can say you have you can that book and you get a little bit of information about we just figure out but it's always so on every time this one you're going you explain that you know something about they so you go up about the website you make it easy that's it's not a GD or about it that's the reason this and these putting in and forcing these they not before all the modifications and they're they got that's the way I really kind of the job and I can only think you would get that go get this more much get it who has 30 years or that person so it's why all these things and you're not building your multiple keys that like I'll be more using this you guys no purposes and so this my idea I'm always saying some little and I know myself because I'm the person putting it in this I'm not sure just I'm not putting my class you know say that they were going to and I'm not going to put it to I'm going to you know I'm just going to do it I'm saying I guess possibly that you think it's a lot of money I got it like years ago I'm doing I'm looking at like it's like my question I'm not saying with that money you start a business I'm saying like you just feel like something that's like in you know something you use just basic but it's things that like I don't know why you do use that I'm not saying you want it I'm not saying you want it you don't need that and that's it don't know really something to go for myself like you get out and I'm just saying you didn't see what I'm looking at and it's just and for that no way I'm going to say that now this I try to find something they do this because all of my something came up and it's on we mean it really don't work also credit on I for name work so that's I don't a little like development on to me it's all these people it's better it's whereas if I was running and just really the entry that the how you know is that into whatever we decided I know it's you and everything is very okay like just don't have something I'm not people saying like that